Hi, we're here for Revista PIttacos today to interview Aki Bratsis, Professor of Political Theory at the University of Salford at Manchester, UK, and he's going to talk to us about the recent Greek elections, the upcoming Greek elections, and what is happening in Europe in recent days. Let's look particularly at what's happening in the next few days. We'll talk about an election, a very close upcoming election in which it seems the result of this election in Greece will be crucial to a definition as to what is the future of the Union, of the Eurozone, and of the relationships of Greece with the bloc as a whole. Give us first an idea of how does the Greek political system work? That is something that is not very familiar for Brazilians.
Yes. Well, Greece is a parliamentary system. You need a 3% minimum to enter the parliament. The first place party gets a 50 seats within the parliament bonus.
Bonus? A 50-seat bonus? Wins the election, regardless of the percentage of votes he gets. He gets an extra 50 seats in parliament.
That's right.
And how many seats are there in parliament?
300.
300
so
seats.
151 to form a government.
I see.
Depending on how many parties enter the parliament, you would typically need at least a 35-36% to form a government on your own. It looks like that's not going to happen on Sunday.
No party will reach that amount of seats.
No, that would be very surprising. It's a very close race between New Democracy, which is a center-right party, and Syriza, which is a left-wing. The bulk of it is what remained from what used to be called the Communist Party of the Interior, which was a Euro-communist, around 30% at this point.
Okay, so we got New Democracy, which is a center-for-right party, and a Euro-communist party.
Yes.
Today fighting for first place. And
right.
The chances of one of these parties reaching more than 35-36% of the votes is slim, which means either one, if wins the election, will have to seek out to the parties that have reached less votes in order to form a coalition government.
That's right.
What happened to PASOK? PASOK used to be the big socialist party.
10%.
10%?
Yes.
Huh. What happened?
They would be, in the best case scenario, the third largest party. It's very possible they would become the fourth or fifth, depending on how some of the other smaller parties do.
What are the other relevant players? If the third party in the country owns only around 9-10%, and that's PASOK, which was the majority party for a very long time in Greece after the military period. What are the other parties? Who are they, these other parties, who are going to become such important players?
One is a neo-Nazi party, which is, again, an unusual development. Greece was the only country within Europe up until the recent past that never had a formal fascist political movement. Now it does. They're polling very well lately. They already are in parliament from the elections from May. They won close to 7% of the vote, and they've been in the parliament since then. Another group that is doing well is an anti-austerity party of the center-right, that they are doing reasonably well. And then there's the Communist Party and the Party of the Democratic Left, who are also polling at around 6 to 7%.
So there's a bunch of parties around 6 to 9%.
That's right.
And two parties over 30.
Around 30.
Around 30. Is best for Greece at this point, in your opinion, looking forward to this election?
The best thing for Greece, I think, at this point, is for the European Union and the Troika to become scared enough, politically in Greece and on the ground, in terms of the dire situation on the streets, to renegotiate and rethink the policies that they're imposing on Greece. Because this is the only way that Greece could potentially not be forced out of the Eurozone to begin with, and more substantively would have could maintain sufficient social cohesion in order to avoid something even more disastrous than an exit from the Eurozone. Because if those things happen, if Greece leaves the Eurozone, I think it is simply a matter of time before the Italian and the Spanish debt crisis reach the point where they cannot be covered by the European.
What is the risk in Europe today, in these places where the austerity plans have hit harder? Places like Greece and Spain, where unemployment amongst the youth have reached levels above 50%.
Yes.
What is the risk of violence?
We already see that. There's no doubt about that. Both in the sense of violence by way of market mechanisms, which, the market itself is a coercive apparatus, and people are being cowered and intimidated through the threats of potential starvation and further cuts to their incomes. But there's also significant violence on the streets. Rates of suicide have skyrocketed. Rates of violent crime have skyrocketed. So all of these things are happening. Violent crimes against refugees and immigrants is significantly on the rise. Who would be the enemies?